Hey everybody, welcome to SMG Viewers Comments, episode number 205. I am on location in Germany at HP42 Studios at my very good friend Henning Pauly's place. If you haven't checked his channel out, please do. He really needs the subscribers. Anyway, hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. Let's get right to it.
How do I tell a person who wants to make a band with me that he sucks without being mean?
Ooh, that's a tough one. It doesn't really matter how you approach it, the guy's still gonna think you're an asshole. Honestly, when I was young and was really terrible on guitar, I wanted to play with one guy. He just flat out said, he said, look, I really don't think you're the ideal jamming partner at this stage. Maybe you should put some more time in on practicing before we think about putting a band together, because you're gonna need to be able to keep up. You know, it wasn't exactly the nicest thing to say, but he could have been a lot worse. He could have said, dude, you're fucking terrible. What are you kidding? You know, so maybe a little bit of tact can go a long way. I can understand you don't want to hurt the person's feelings, but then again, maybe a little bit of truth can help the guy be a better musician in the long run. Be gentle, but don't beat around the bush either. I mean, you're not going to do the guy any favors if you bullshit him. Just be honest, but you don't have to be brutally honest. That's my job.
Hey Glenn, do I need to worry about phase issues if I'm using two separate mics on two different speakers in front of the cab, i.e. one mic for each speaker? I know the phase needs to be flipped for miking the back of the cab, but wondering if it's a process for miking the front. Thanks Glenn, and fuck you.
No, you should be absolutely fine miking up two different speakers. Thanks for the wipe there, Henning. I really appreciate that. Henning Pauly, folks, he's doing my switching today. Great job, dude. Anyway, yes, if you're miking up two separate speakers, you can get some really great results, actually, especially if you use two different kind of mics, say like a 57 and then maybe a 421 or another type of tom mic. Maybe check out one of the Lewitts. They're about 99 bucks and they're a great second mic to a 57. Make sure you use a cheap mixer. Watch my video, The Greatest Guitar Miking Trick I Ever Learned video, for more details on that. But seriously, phase should not be an issue. Just make sure you've got the mics as close as you can get them without actually touching the grill cloth, and you should be good to go. Best of luck, dude. Hope it works out for you.
Hi Glenn, I was wondering, since you talk a lot about how to start out as far as gear goes when it comes to recording, what would you suggest as far as the actual studio space is concerned if you actually had to go out and look and buy a place? What would you look for? Cheers from Scotland, and fuck you.
That's a magnificent question. You know, if I had the budget, I'd love to do a whole series on building a studio. By the way, hit up my Patreon. That might actually happen one day. Seriously though, what I'd look for, number one, is space. As much space as you can get, probably. I mean, Warren Hewitt and I were at TGU, and we went into this giant German castle and mic'd up a drum set. That video is gonna be coming out on Warren's channel, but we're gonna have all the files to download and samples and all kinds of stuff. It's gonna be really fucking cool. The sounds we got were absolutely magnificent. So number one, the biggest space you can get. Number two, keep in mind what your climate is going to be, and you're gonna have to accommodate for that. See, in Canada, it's very cold in the winter and it's hot as fuck in the summer, and you have to deal with humidity and that kind of thing. So you're gonna need to heat the place, and then you're gonna need to air condition. You're gonna have to figure out how to do that silently. Third, plumbing. Do you have any? And if not, how are you going to work around that? Myself, in my studio, I've got a little camper toilet and hand sanitizer. Randy Blythe thought it was the coolest idea ever, instead of, you know, spending thousands on dollars and running a sewer line. So if you have a sewer line and if you have a functioning bathroom in your studio space, that's a big plus. Also, a shower can be a big plus as well for band members and whatnot if you're having them stay with you. But I wouldn't recommend having this band stay at your studio, because you wind up being a babysitter and you wind up cleaning puke out of the bed sheets and that kind of stuff. It's just not. Make the fuckers go get a hotel. So yeah, skip the band living space, because yeah, you know what, you're running a studio in that fucking romper room. Seriously though, that's some of the ideas you should keep in mind. And the other thing is, you know, proximity to neighbors and how you are going to acoustically separate your studio space from the outside world so you don't have the cops called on you. That is a big one as well. There's a lot of things to keep in mind, and I would really love to do a whole series on building a project studio at some point. And like I said, check out my Patreon. Maybe we can make that happen. I think that would be a lot of fun. Anyway, Thanks very much for asking that question. That's just magnificent. I don't know why nobody's asked that before. And as always, if you really want more information, I say this, I don't know how many times, is the John Sayers Studio Design Forum. They are a tremendous resource for the project studio building and that kind of thing. Check it out. It's what I used to build Spectre back in Windsor, and was definitely a wonderful resource for that sort of thing. So definitely check that out. John Sayers Studio Design Forum. Hey guys, by the way, in case you didn't hear, Gibson put out this insane video a few days ago, which was basically saying they were going to go after all these guitar manufacturers, and they had this whole play authentic thing. It was just a little bit pushing things too far, in my opinion. So I thought I'd come up with this little parody t-shirt. It's called Play Authentic or Else from Bully Guitars USA. It's going to be available this weekend and this weekend only. So if you want to get one, grab it now because it'll be gone for good. Get it now so you can wear it at Summer NAMM.
What about conditioning your electricity installations? Being someone having ground issues everywhere and not really knowing what kind of stabilizers or if going straight to a wall outlet is fine, this kind of advices would be useful, especially when being on a budget.
You guys are killing it with the awesome questions. All right, now here's the cool thing. My father was an electrician, so I was able to hit him up for some advice when building Spectre, and he said, you want to get these things that are called Hubble outlets, and they're orange, and they've got this little green triangle on the ground pin. And what that is you actually run a 4-conductor wire from your panel to the outlet. And what that gives you is an isolated ground. You've got your positive, you've got your neutral, you've got your normal ground wire for your box, and then you've got an isolated ground wire that goes from the pin directly to the box, your power distribution mains, your breaker box, so to speak. And what that does, and what that is one breaker per outlet. So one breaker gets a pure electric feed, and there's no nonsense. You don't run into any ground loops and any of that kind of stuff. And what you want to do is run everything off that. Your computer, your monitors, your guitar amps, all that kind of stuff. You want to get like some serious power distribution. Check out the stuff from Furman, but you want to come from that so you're not running into ground looping issues. We were just at Bob Marlette's not too long ago, and that's exactly what he's doing, and he's worked with everybody from John 5 to Black Sabbath. So you know what? I think Bob would probably be the expert on that.
Do you have any advice for a band with someone who lives in a different state 2 to 3 hours away?
Yeah, either get rid of that band member or have that band member move, or you move to that band member. That's exactly what Metallica did. They were originally an LA-based band, and then they found Cliff Burton, and Cliff was like, well, the LA scene's all this, pop rock, pop metal bullshit. Why don't you guys come up to San Francisco where shit's really happening? And yeah, they packed everything up and went, and that's a 4 or 5 hour drive. And, they went and made heavy metal history. So there you go. If the person is really that good and he brings that much to your band, either move to him or have him move to you. That would probably be the prudent idea.
Where do I write a question that you read and answer on your show?
Right here in the comments.
My band, Bridge the Sun, has only been together for 4 months and have already played live twice. First gig sucked. Second gig kicked ass. Bugs were worked out and we were comfortable on stage together. Grow some balls and perform. It's a lot of fun.
Fantastic advice. The only way you're going to get good at playing live is to play live a lot, especially when you're forming a band. Once you finally work out the bugs and have got a bunch of shows together and you guys are performing as a unit, that's when you stop playing quite as many shows so you don't oversaturate your market. But when you're just learning how to play and play together, it is absolutely paramount to get as much experience on stage as possible. Yes, your first couple gigs might suck, but once you get going, things are going to come together pretty well.
I recorded the guitars on my first album with a condenser mic because I couldn't turn the amp up loud enough for my dynamic mic to pick it up decently without pissing off my neighbors. If I crank up the gain on the mixer loud enough for the guitar to be heard, the hiss is unbearable. It's too much to be able to remove and post without killing the tone. What do I do? How can I use a dynamic mic to record an amp speaker without cranking the shit out of the volume?
Well, the problem is amps really do need to be played loud for them to sound good. They need that reactive load that a speaker creates. For pushback. I'm assuming you're using a tube amp here. I could be completely wrong. If you're not, you might as well just go with amp sims and then, don't worry about it, because a lot of the amp sims coming out these days put out some pretty usable tones, that's for sure. This is the thing, if you're miking up a cab, you're gonna want to get the cabinet to start resonating. You're gonna want to hear that resonance. You're going to want to see those speakers moving. That's when the interesting stuff happens. And if that's completely impossible and you can't build maybe even an ISO box without pissing off your neighbors, you might want to try investing in, say, something back here. Like we got a torpedo reload way back here. The aux might be a solution, and the new one from Boss, which is going to be coming out really soon. Actually, it's out right now. I'm sorry, I've got a video coming out on that really soon. I did one video on it with Matt Knight from Boss while I was at TGU, and it just worked out fantastic. Definitely viable solutions, so you can still have a real amp, but you're using a digital speaker simulation. And in my opinion, when it comes to working with amp sims, I much prefer the hybrid system like that, as opposed to just using a straight up amp sim. I still prefer a real amp, but the digital cab simulations are really getting good. And go to lancasteraudio.com for world-class impulse responses, because they're just fucking awesome.
Glenn, you're a saint. A bad saint, but a saint is still a saint. Every time I look up for a video for help with something, you already have it covered. But do you think it's easier for a beginner to mic up the amp or go with amp sims?
Oh, it's definitely way easier for a beginner to go with amp sims. The path to resistance is a lot shorter, especially for the person starting out. What's great about amp sims is they will give you a good idea how a guitar is supposed to sound on its own outside of a mix, and then you can kind of tweak your amp to go along with that. I'm going to be doing a premium tutorial. I don't know when it's coming out yet, but I've been working on this one for quite some time. And it's all about recording metal guitars, recording real amps and real cabs, and takes the mystery out of all of that and gives you examples of, what a tone should sound like and how you should set up your amp and all that kind of crap. But in the meantime, if you don't, until that comes out, stick with an amp sim. You're probably going to get some good results pretty damn quick.
So, do you prefer a song that is recorded without a click to keep the soul or its life, to keeping a clip and selecting the perfect takes and line them all up?
You can definitely record to a click and not line stuff up. You can just, use a click as just kind of a guide and then just leave shit alone. That's also an option. You guys should try it sometime. Interesting things happen. If the band's good enough, turn the click off. You can get some amazing results. And then if it's pure chaos, you can still wind up with some interesting stuff. Like you put on the second Woods of Ypres record, and that was completely not to a click at all, and yet that record is considered something of a black metal legend, even though the tempo is all over the place, because the songs had life. So is there any set rule? No, of course not. Go with what you think works best, but then again, don't be afraid to turn off the click if you think the band can do it without it. You'd be surprised at the results you get. Will it be 100% to a metronome? No. But then again, it's not dance music!
How many Death Note shirts do you have?
Not nearly enough.
Should every metal song include a guitar solo?
In the 90s, we had a whole bunch of songs that didn't have guitar solos that probably would have been a whole lot better if they did have guitar solos.
Hey Glenn, how much does the actual mic contribute to the sound of the cymbals? I'm supposed to record a drum set using minimal resources that I have and use a trigger set on snare, kick, and toms because I can't afford a decent mixer and mics, and 2 condenser mics as overheads. I have 2 different condensers. Is it possible to use them together without running into too much problems with the balance? Also, if you have any advice, tips on using triggers, much appreciated. Thank you.
As for advice with triggers, number 1, don't use them. Number 2, you can use them as gates, so you can control the actual mics and the actual sound of the drummer a little bit better. That's pretty cool. I guess I should really do another episode on triggers at some point. I know the Roland ones are pretty good. I've got a set of D-drum ones that are just broke. They're all completely useless now, and I'm kind of pissed off about that, to be honest with you. So I've heard the Roland ones are really, really good and will last a lifetime, whereas the D-drum ones will not. So if anybody from G-drum is watching this, yes, your product needs some work. I wouldn't recommend trying to mic up your overheads with 2 separate mics. You're going to run into some serious issues. And yes, the quality of the microphone really makes a big difference with overheads. You basically want to get the best mics you possibly can. Now, the great thing is Lewitt has a new set of pencil condensers out called the LCT-040 Match. And these are a matched stereo pair of mics, and these are going to make awesome drum overheads, and they cost maybe about $180, $190, something like that. I'll have a link in the description below, and I've also got a review coming out on these very soon. I know I've got a set of these waiting for me at home. I can't wait to try them out because Lewitt makes amazing stuff, and they knew there was a market for an affordable set of condensers that'll work as drum overheads that aren't going to break the bank, and this is definitely the set you want to check out. So stop dicking around with 2 mismatched mics. Go get yourself a set of these because they're going to be awesome.
Not related to this video at all, but I just wanted to give Lancaster Audio a shout out. I bought both the Glenn Fricker IR pack and just recently bought the Angle Pro IR pack. They're both fan-fucking-tastic. Thanks, Glenn.
You're very welcome, dude. If you guys out there want to get the best in impulse responses, definitely check out Lancaster Audio and kickstart your awesome guitar tone today.
Hey Glenn, your intro is very cool, but have you considered changing it from time to time, or maybe just have exclusive episodes starting with other metal songs? It's just that it's getting a bit repetitive at this point, as hearing something over and over gets. Don't you agree? Cheers from Lithuania, kind regards, and Mr. McFuck Glenn.
I see the reasoning there. I think if I changed it, I might have a revolt on my hands. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe when we do oldies but baddies, I'll do a different theme song for that. Maybe Fearless Gear Reviews needs its own theme song. The thing is, with YouTube copyright claims, I can't ask for music from anybody to do this stuff, or I could wind up having all my shit demonetized. So I guess I better come up with some new riffs pretty soon and track something. Maybe I can get together with Cam Fleury this summer and come up with something for a few of the different shows. It's not a bad idea. I'm not opposed to breaking it up at all. Just stay tuned for that. And you guys let me know if you want to hear some new songs. And no, you can't contribute anything because once again, you guys have a way of copywriting things without letting me know, and then all my shit gets demonetized. It happens every single episode when we do Merciless Metal mix reviews, and I just don't need that grief. So it'll definitely have to be some more original stuff.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You're number 2 on the Loudwire list of top 10 metal YouTubers.
I have no idea how the hell that happened, but I just want to give a great big thank you to Loudwire. That was really fucking cool. If you haven't checked them out, it's pretty cool as well. They do a whole bunch of listicle style videos where it's top 10 this, top 10 that. It's kind of fun. I find myself watching that stuff way more than I probably should. But once again, thanks very much. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Hope you're going to have an amazing weekend. Don't forget, I've got my Play Authentic or Else shirt available for this weekend and this weekend only. Then it's gone for good, so if you want to grab it now. Till then, stay safe, have an amazing weekend, and I will see you guys next time.